The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip, and CJ's in the middle of untangling his chair from his microphone cord here. Somebody sabotaged his microphone cord. He'll be with us in a second. It is Monday in the Rib.
And whatever can go wrong will go wrong.
Yes, it's one of those days already. CJ is,
I have no idea how they tangled this up this badly.
well, they did. But it looks like you got enough to pin yourself up, so. What a way to start the week, huh? Live television, isn't it great? Ha ha, there he is.
I'm here now.
So, well, now you know it's CJ.
Now you know it's me, I'm here. Oh,
And
I don't know how that got, I mean, it was literally tied around and around. I mean,
maybe somebody did it on purpose. Who knows?
anything's possible, but I just thought it was funny.
So it's Monday in a Rev.
Yes, and our state legislature worked overtime.
Yeah.
Yesterday was supposed to be the deadline. Midnight yesterday was supposed to be the deadline, or midnight today. They worked through the night. At 7:30 this morning, they were still in session. Still in session. And here's their major accomplishment. Sports betting in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
But here's the caveat on it. You cannot bet on Massachusetts collegiate teams.
I'm going to tell you, you know, it takes them forever to do anything here because they've got to carve up the pie.
Right.
That's the reality. The reality is all the people that have to make money have to make money. That's why it took us so long to get a casino when Rhode Island did it. That's how it took us so long. Connecticut and Rhode Island have sports betting now.
Right. There are 30 states with sports betting.
So, I mean, look, this state it's always a day late and a dollar short with everything they do. And overtime, they don't know what overtime is. They're going to whine about this session forever, but they just wanted to get a couple things done because midterms are coming, things are coming up like this, and they want to pretend that they're doing something again. But they do, you know, they do nothing that's good for the taxpayer. And overtime is normally hours in excess of 40. If you took their hours that they spend at that state house in a year, they're probably averaging like an 18-hour week,
Right.
if that.
Right.
Because they have breaks in their sessions. They have their constituent day where they don't go to Boston.
Yeah, and they seem to be there 2 days a week, sometimes 3.
Yeah.
The interesting thing you mentioned about tax breaks.
Yep.
Guess what died?
The tax breaks for the people.
Bingo!
Of course! I didn't even have to watch the show to know that. Screw the people, screw the taxpayers in Massachusetts. You know, we're going to talk about everything except taking care of the people. We got a recession.
But wait, here's what Mike Roderick said. We don't know if we can afford it.
Oh, we got billions
We
in the
got
bank.
$8 billion or $9 billion in the rainy day account, but we don't know if we can afford it.
Yeah,
but thank God for legislation that was voted for by the people in 1987, which says that if the state's revenue exceeds by a certain percentage their revenue expectations, that money, which right now is somewhere around $3 million, is to be returned to the taxpayer. The State House is looking to get rid of that law.
Well, of course they would.
Right.
Because they've got to give it to their friends. It's not about giving it back to the taxpayer. It's giving it back to their friends.
Right.
That's why they don't worry about inflation. We're getting murdered in Massachusetts. Maura Healey, everybody's saying, "Oh, it's a catastrophe. Unaffordable housing is a problem throughout the country." But you know what Democrats do. This is what happens, people, when you have one-party system, because they don't have any loyalty to you. This is not a government of the people. This is a government of the politician. They've gained so much power on all levels that you can't get rid of these ticks. The only way you can get rid of them is vote them out. I don't know when you're going to wake up. Look what's happening in Washington. We got a recession. Oh, no, it's not a recession. We're going to redefine recession. Now we're playing semantic games.
Right.
It's not the technical definition, but it is. And the same guy who's the spokesman now, who said it wasn't the technical definition, they've got a video of him in 16 saying it is the technical definition.
Right.
So, I mean, all they do is lie their butts off. And look, they're politicians. We can expect that. I don't expect them not to, you know the old adage, how can you tell a politician is lying? His lips are moving.
That's right.
Okay, we know that. And we know Mike Rodriguez doesn't give a damn about the average person in Massachusetts, let alone in his own area. He doesn't care. We don't know if we can afford it. That's why they put the liquor tax on. And then what did Mike Rodriguez do? Run right to New Hampshire to buy his liquor to evade the tax he just put in.
Right.
I guess he couldn't afford it. He hadn't had time to give himself a pay raise yet. Remember, I still got the article. He was number 3 in the state.
Right.
For
On stipends.
On stipends.
Yep.
One thing Mike Roderick knows how to do is game the system. He's going to get every single dime. Number 3 in the state on how much he made from stipends. And now he's one of the most powerful politicians in the state. And the reality is he doesn't give a damn about the taxpayer. He doesn't even give a damn about the common man. He doesn't care.
Yet he claims that he's given, look at what I've done for my district. I've given Fall River X hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've given New Bedford X hundred of thousands of dollars. I've given Taunton. I've given Attleboro. He's given all these people X number of thousands of dollars, but none of that benefits the taxpayer. And I don't know how it benefits the cities, because they get the money, and I don't see them doing anything because they're for special projects.
Exactly. They take care of their friends.
Right. They're for special projects.
They're special interest.
Right.
They give them a ton of money. And we know when the government gives you money, it never gets used for what it's supposed to be used for.
Right.
Didn't we have that problem in Puerto Rico? They gave them like billions and billions of dollars, and then it disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nobody knew what they did with the thing.
Right. And they found trailer loads of water.
And people were dying
of thirst. Exactly.
Right.
What was very interesting though is, because Carol Fiola does this too. She got $100,000 and some odd for arts culture in Fall River. What's that going to do for Fall River except create a few more murals?
We got murals.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh yeah, everybody's going to come to see the murals. Like they don't have murals anywhere else in the world.
Exactly. And the problem that we have in Fall River, which is sad to say, but it's true, we do not have a system in Fall River that makes it easy to, number one, navigate, and number two, to see anything historic. Because Fall River has historically destroyed his history. Salem didn't. A lot of towns in New Hampshire haven't. A lot of towns in Vermont haven't. A lot of towns in Rhode Island haven't.
No, Salem did a great job of protecting their rather dubious history.
Right.
But who would have ever thought that you'd make money out of being so stupid you were murdering people because you thought they were witches? But they do.
Right.
But it's a piece of their history.
And here's the thing. We had the Lizzie Borden bang for a while, okay? Everyone was interested in Lizzie Borden, But when they started making movies, where did they go to make the movies? Canada.
Yeah.
They couldn't make them in Fall River. They couldn't even get real pictures of the house. Why? Because we have a courthouse in the middle of the area.
And it's a period piece.
And they're period pieces.
So,
and we've destroyed all the period that we have in this
Look, we destroy everything. To get back to the money, look, the problem is simple. Politicians. Look at the opera money. We got a ton of opera money. Look, and who's got the stranglehold on the opera money?
Ken Fiola.
And who tells everybody what, it's not like this is for the people.
That's right.
Our mayor says, I'm giving it out, and I'm giving it out to who the hell I want.
Right.
And I'll dole out a couple of crumbs to people and pretend I'm doing something. And this is what they do all the time. We get money. Money for what? Money for waterfront? What good's that going to do for the person that can't make rent? The two out of three people living for paycheck to paycheck, Fall River, it's probably 2 3/4 people that are living paycheck to paycheck. That doesn't do any good. Oh, the waterfront. I got millions of dollars for the waterfront. I got $1 million for this project and that project. Like you said, they're projects. And who ends up doing the projects?
They're friends.
You look at the signs on the side of the backhoes. Oh, what a surprise. What does that say? Bisco?
Right.
Oh, where have I heard that name before?
Right.
Oh, and you just can keep naming them.
That's right.
Because you see them all for years. Because once they get in and they give them enough money, they get everything. For a while, it was Louis and Ted's. Remember the asphalt?
Yep.
For a long time, it was them.
Yeah.
And I remember those guys, when they started, they didn't have their own business. They were working for another paving company, and they were doing it on the side. They actually paved my driveway. And because it was dirt when I bought the house, and I blacktopped it. But this is it. You look around, you look at the trucks at every job site, it's the same ones. Fall River's not open for competitive business. They don't care how much it costs because they get money. And they use the money not to help the taxpayer, not to give a dime back to the taxpayer. Didn't our illustrious mayor not once but twice promise tax breaks?
Yes, he did.
Last time I checked, I'm paying more taxes.
That's
so
right.
We got letters from our bank saying we're paying. And
here's the funny part, okay, about the taxes and the jobs. Those competitive bids, you're supposed to take the lowest bid. Well, we take the lowest bid all the time. The problem is, it's all the cost overruns afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, all of these change orders that get put in.
Yeah.
Like they did the lowest bid on Purchase Street. Then they went $1 million over budget because it's on a ledge. Didn't you know it was on a ledge?
Well,
everyone else knew it was on a ledge.
Well, they used to call that the granite block.
That's right.
We had the granite block spire about a block down away from Purchase, the corner of Purchase.
Right.
So, I mean, when we went to high school, there was the granite block spot. That's where everybody had breakfast before they went to Durfee, at the old Durfee. So, but nobody knew that was granite.
No.
What a surprise.
Yeah, imagine that. But this is what I mean. It's the same thing with the road.
Yeah.
You know, the road
and nobody
paving
knows how to write a contract. That's the problem.
Well, that's the other thing.
Because they know that when they're going in. They tell their pals, look, bid, we'll give you the contract. Don't worry about it. You're going to make a lot more money than we got here on the line because you're going to be submitting stuff, and we're going to give it to you.
Right.
You're not going to say, well, it's your job. Come over, do a site inspection, check everything you need to check, and give us an estimate, and you're locked in.
That's it.
You're locked in. But no, we have never built anything that stays on budget, and we've never built anything of quality, really.
No, exactly.
I mean, we already got reports about the new Durfee and being a mess, and but hey, politicians will blow your money. They will, and they'll make you want to thank them. Look what I've done for Fall River. Yeah. Well, Mike, why don't you come in and live in a 3-decker here somewhere in an area where there's all kinds of drugs and stuff? That's the cure to that problem. I always said it. Years ago, I said that with the Kennedys. Let Teddy Kennedy, when he was in favor of everything that the people weren't in favor of, he was in favor of wind, except in his backyard.
Right.
He was in favor of school busing, but his kids didn't get bused. Mm-hmm. But the fact is that somebody saves their whole life to move away from the inner city, and then you take their kids and bus them right back to the schools they're trying to get away from. But nobody cared. I said, let them live in a 3-decker in Fall River with a couple of junkies on the first floor, a hooker across the hall, and a couple of guys cooking meth on the 3rd floor.
There you go.
And see how long he lasts. See how his perspective changes. Same thing with Mike Roderick. Mike Roderick's from Westport.
That's right.
Yeah. There ain't no 3-deckers in Westport. You know, and there's no Corky Rolls in Westport. There's no Flints. What do they call the Flint? The oven of the
heat island.
The heat island.
Yep.
Even the poorest, one of the poorest areas in the city, have to have more fans and more air conditioners because the Flint is a heat island.
Yep.
And it's because of all the three-deckers and
Exactly.
concrete and blacktop.
That's right.
Well, what's the Flint? Learn your history. The Flint and all those three-deckers were created because the mills were here.
That's right.
You look down the end of Quikasham Street, and you saw Fall River Knitting Mill, Shelburne, Shirt, and they had a whole bunch Stella Ann frocks. They had all kinds of working mills, and around the mills, they built tenement houses.
That's right.
Because people didn't have cars in those days; they walked to work, and so the heat island gets nothing. We got a corridor, and now we're going to get market rate housing. It's another great boondoggle. We know that.
Right.
These people do not care, and look at them now. Their thing is hope everybody's stupid. We want to pass this $1 trillion bill to spend more money and increase the inflation, where even they're admitting, they won't admit we're in a recession, even though we are, that it's going to be at least 2 years before we're out of this.
Right.
2 years.
Right.
So what are the people going to do that can't make it now? What's going to, because it's going to get worse.
That's right.
It's not going to get better, and it's going to last a very, very long time. Where is our legislature staying there till 7:30 in the morning figuring out how to get rent subsidies and affordable housing? They're not doing that.
That's right.
They're not doing that. Where's the federal government? Where in that package is affordable housing? No, we got wind energy. We're going to put more IRS agents so they can all put you in jail if you short them $1 on your income tax. They don't care about the common man. They don't care about the regular people. They're walking around making their money, and they're insulated from inflation. They have inflation insulation, greenbacks.
Yep.
No matter, even though the dollar is devalued, they've got plenty of them, so it doesn't bother them.
Right.
They don't care about pulling up their SUV to the up to the pump and throwing in $150 to fill it up. Big deal. Half of them write it off. Mm-hmm. Yep, travel expenses. That's business car.
That's
my
it.
business car.
Hey, you brought up market rate housing and the Flint and whatnot. Haffards Street. You know where Haffards Street is?
Yes, I do. It's right in the heart of the Flint.
That's right.
That's right.
All the houses on Haffards Street are being bought by the same company. AFIAM, I believe it is, LLC, out of Brockton. They just spent $3.3 million on picking up houses on that street.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows why. When you're buying a whole street, something's going to happen there.
Oh yeah, look, you got all these buyers down here doing these things, and well, look, they're gonna come up with some cockamamie, fairy tale that they're gonna fix Fall River because they're gonna buy this whole block, turn it into market rate housing, and suddenly all the wokies are gonna come from California and all over the country to live on Haffards Street in Fall River, which is a real, live, honest to goodness, old Milltown neighborhood. Right. Those 3 deckers are close enough where you can spit on the house next door, out your window.
And the problem is that these are multifamily homes they're buying.
Yeah.
So, buying them at such exorbitant rates, the rents have to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Now, even if you jack up the rent $200, a lot of these people aren't going to be able to afford it. And you and I both know they're going to go up to about $1,200 because some of those are 3-bedroom apartments.
Mm-hmm. They're going to go up higher than that, probably.
Yeah. And what are you going to do for these people? Because this is going to displace an entire neighborhood. An entire neighborhood this could potentially displace. I don't think they're buying these homes out of the goodness of their heart.
Yeah, sure they are. Well, yeah, just like the guy from Rye, New Hampshire, that wants to build a 14-story
Right.
edifice but that Rye, New Hampshire's got about 5,400 people. The average income up there is over 180 grand. So he's some guy that never saw a three-decker in his life is going to come down here and build something for what? For the good of the community? You know, get your head out of your derriere. This master plan, they're going to all make money some way or another. Then they're going to write it off later on, and they're going to bail. This is what happened. The irony of this is you see this in Baltimore. You saw this in Detroit. You saw this in a whole bunch of inner cities, major cities. Ironically enough, just this weekend, I was watching somebody talking about what they're doing in Detroit. They had a golf tournament in Detroit. And they were talking about how they're going to try to help resurrect Detroit. They've been trying to resurrect Detroit for the last 50 years. They had affordable housing in Detroit. Nobody wanted it.
You could buy a house in right for
a dollar.
Yeah.
And $1 in Detroit. They had a situation where you could buy a house in Detroit, Michigan for $1. But nobody bought them. Because number one, they had a failing education system, and it was like a giant, you know, it was like a crime wave, that city. You couldn't walk 2 blocks in that city. Who's going to buy a house there? I know. I went to a convention in Detroit, and the first thing they told us when we got into the convention, and someday if you ever see a picture of downtown Detroit, there's a movie, Renaissance Man, with Danny DeVito that shows he's driving down that street, the main drag. That's where the Joe Louis Center is. That's where the convention was. We had at the convention. So we had a hotel right there, right near the convention center. As soon as we got in the hotel, we said, well, what are we gonna, what are the areas we can go eat in and stuff. So they told us in the hotel, there's a place called Greektown 2 blocks away. They've got tons of restaurants and tons of everything. They said, okay. They said, but you have to take a cab. This is a true story, and I got people who were there with me. I said, what do you mean you got to take a cab? They said, you can't walk there. You're going to get mugged. When I went, really? He said, yeah, really. Well, how can you, if it's that bad, how can you actually, have a place like that? She said, because got the entire Detroit police force off duty there at night controlling that area. All the businessmen had their own security basically off duty. But I spent a week there, and we actually had to take a cab 2 blocks and then take a cab back to the hotel. The first day we were there, one of the firefighters from somewhere got mugged and robbed in a parking lot because they brought their car. I guess they lived close enough to bring their car. It was a war zone. It was a war zone. You were basically locked in a hotel for a week, and you had to take a cab to go eat. So you're going to rehabilitate cities like this? Are you kidding me? They don't go to, as they love to say, the wokies, the root cause. The root cause is, and they're actually enhancing, they're letting crime get worse. They're easier on crime. The root causes they don't address. People not having training to get jobs. People not being able to get a decent job. Not keeping businesses in the United States.
And what does that equal to? Money.
Money. Exactly. They don't care about look, they want to destroy the middle class. This is exactly what the rich elitists want, the globalists. They want an entire world working for peanuts. They want rich and poor. It's like the old Middle Ages, the lords and the serfs, Robin Hood. Everybody worked for the manor. And this is what we've got. You think they care? They don't care on a local level. We got hands in his pockets wandering around there. Nobody hears from him unless he's giving out a movie or, talking about a parade. He hasn't talked about crime in the city of Fall River. Says there's no crime. And we know different. The rest of the country knows different because it's the rest of the country looks at us objectively and looks at the statistics. He pretends. State level, what is our state delegation? Oh, we give you plenty of money. How much have you given us for affordable housing? How much relief have you given us from taxes? Same on a federal level. The problems we have are created because it's really simple. I don't care what party they're at. I'm not. Democrats are the worst because they just lie. You know, some of the Republicans just don't care. They don't lie. They just get rich. But
and what's even worse is the people in those parties that are opposite of what their party is.
That's
You've
right.
got the rhinos and the dinos.
Yeah, the dinos. Yeah, the dinos and the rhinos. But the reality is these people don't care. It isn't about party. That's just a big play they put on for us. Oh, the Dems are working for the poor people. Oh, now the Republicans are for the poor people. No, they're not for anybody but themselves 90% of the time. You got a couple of young people that have been elected that care about the people now, but give them a little time. They'll change.
They haven't been poisoned yet.
They'll get like the rest of them. That's why you got to get them out. That's why we wanted term limits, and no way to allow that. You need to limit their term, and the only way we can limit their term is by throw their butts out periodically. We got a couple of new people up in Washington. We need a couple of new people in Boston, and we need a lot of new people in Fall River.
Yeah, you know, it's sad that we have to come to that. And, you know, one of the things that makes it worse is nobody runs.
Yeah.
Okay? We have little to no chance of a change in our state delegation. I don't believe Carol Fiola has an opponent. I don't believe Alan Sylvia has an opponent. And I know that Paul Schmidt has one who's a Republican. And in Westport, that may fly.
Yeah,
Westport's
got a lot of Republicans.
They got a lot of Republicans. So in Westport, that may fly. But he's young. I don't know if the people in Westport want to elect somebody young. So there's, you know, those are the things you look at. It's the same thing. Nobody runs against Michael Rodrigues. Michael Rodrigues didn't even have to run for that office. It was handed to him. Joan Menard turned around and gave her impromptu, and he got it.
Just like Tommy Norton did to her.
Exactly. You know, these seats aren't to be handed down to our friends, to our supporters. These seats are supposed to be acquired through a vote. And the problem is that because they gain such long-term viability in their party and in their seats, they get high-powered jobs like chairman of the Ways and Means Committee.
That's the biggest committee in Boston.
And
with no ways, there are no means.
That's right. And what happens is that people have to go and kiss his backside for things. And that gives him power. He becomes the king. Because he's chairman. So what I say goes. If I don't want that out of Ways and Means, it don't move. It don't move.
And it's up to us as the people to change that. People have to get out and vote. We cannot elect 15 to 20%.
It takes people to run for these offices.
Right.
And they need to make it clear that they're going to run for these offices.
And you got to, you know,
and you may not get elected the first time. You may not get elected the second time. But you've got to keep trying.
Remember what it says, power vested in the people. Well,
that's right.
The power at all levels is no longer vested in the people. It's vested with the politicians, and it's up to us to change it. So we need, you know, candidates, people who think about it, people who are upset, go in, take a shot.
Take a shot. What's the worst that can happen? You lose? No big deal. Hey, I want to bring up something. Guess who was born yesterday?
Who was born?
George Jetson.
Oh, Jesus.
In 40 years, he'll be George Jetson riding around in the flying car. But you know what's funny? They actually had a lot of the things happen, like the flat screen TVs and whatnot, that were predicted on that. So it was very interesting.
Just like Star Trek.
Just like Star Trek. And, you know, it's a shame that Nichelle Nichols died. Hey, I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Wednesday.